Yo, people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another episode of All You Can Eat Chelsea. Very, very unfamiliar feelings today. We are transferred ourselves over to Riverside. We've moved away from StreamYard, so it's a little bit of maybe a different layout, hopefully a better quality visually. And it's not live today. It's not live, but we are just trying new things. And I am making this a proper podcast. We are repackaging, right? It will be on Spotify. It will be on all your audio sites that you need so you can listen to it on the go. So we're upgrading it. We're leveling up. And I think this is episode 138. So welcome to episodes now. Yes, it's gonna be in the thumbnail. Episode 138. Who had to go and count those out? Me.
you actually did that.
Well, do you know what? I've saved it onto a playlist, so thankfully it wasn't difficult because it's all in one spot. I didn't have to go and scroll through my whole channel. But if you do try it one day, scrolling through your channel, it doesn't take too long. I've done like over 1,000 uploads, and I was going back to the old thumbnails where they were green when we first started. The Champions League win, of course, those thumbnails as well, where we were all in jubilation. So yeah, it didn't take too long to actually get back there. But Miz, I'll start with you, brother, because you've not been here the longest. I think it's been since, what was you saying, June?
Since 7 years ago. Yeah.
How are you, brother?
I've been good, man. Been buzzing to come back and talk to all you guys. I actually missed you guys a lot. Well, it's not live anymore, so I can't say I missed the live chat. So that's been taken away. Matisse has taken that away from us. But no, it's been mad, man. It's been mad. It's good to be back. So yeah, man, can't wait, bro.
Yeah. No, 100%. There's so much to get into as well. It's gonna be good, man. Younes, brother. How are you feeling? How are you doing? You're back home now. I know you was on a tour. I know you was visiting many places, many scenes.
Yeah, it was good. It was a very good break, refreshing and whatnot. But now, as I said, like yesterday, we come into the eye of the storm, don't we? Back into chaotic scenes. Mm-hmm. So no, that would be good. It's good to be back on here as well with you lads and whatnot. We start properly again, and I hope everyone enjoys the new format and the way that it all goes down. Looking forward to seeing what happens.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, it's our first episode back. Javon, brother, how are you feeling? How are you doing? I know it's very early in America over there. How are you doing, bro?
Yeah, bro. Up early, ready to go, ready to get into the thick of it. It's a madness. It's been a whole madness with the boards, but we'll get into it. Otherwise, from that, I'm good, ready to go.
100%. We'll have Bubba back next week for you guys as well. And listen, there'll be special guests this season because the overlay is gonna compensate for it as well. It's gonna have plenty of room for others when the time comes. But there's only one place to start, people. Ownership. Unfortunately, ownership, because for some reason, and it's not a shock, but it is a shock. I mean, maybe it's a surprise that it happened this early. I think everybody knew when a consortium came in that, the collaboration potentially would only last so long, which is obviously their own idea to do that type of, communication and everybody get involved and amongst it and have those debates and back and forths. But, billionaires going to billionaire, and they have their own ideas and their own strategies, and they are, as I said on my video, the top 0.0001% of people in the world. So they have every right to be stubborn about how they manage their institutions and companies and whatnot, because they've obviously done things very well in life to get to where they are. But we've got the battle of the billionaires. It seems to be a back and forth. And I mean, Younes, I was actually watching your video on this yesterday, and you're more confident maybe than me that Todd Boehly might be able to relinquish power, and sit at the top step in Chelsea's institution and lead things and run things. But how worried are you potentially that he doesn't have that waiting time? If this was NHS, he needs to go straight into the emergency room, right? He needs to be on the bed immediately. But NHS is underfunded. He might be sitting there for quite a while. He might get impatient. He might just get up and take himself home and just be like, you know what? I've had enough. Bye-bye.
You're asking about Todd Boehly. I think he can wait. I think the longer this goes on, the more this suits him. The longer this goes on, the more it doesn't suit Clearlake. That's how I see it personally. Because at the end of the day, Todd, as well as Mark Walters, Hans-Jörg Wyss, they're there with minority shares and their own money, right? and without the pressure of other investors, basically, you know, they've come in themselves as part of the consortium and they're just doing it for themselves. With Clearlake, it's a different story. With Clearlake right now, the longer that the chaos continues, the longer that it gives bad rep, it lowers confidence, it does all of that. As an investment firm like Clearlake Capital, they've got, you know, people's money that they're managing on their behalf to worry about. So I think the longer this goes on, and the fact of the matter, as far as I'm concerned, is this is going to take a very long time, right? This isn't going to get sorted next week or next month. This is going to take forever. So this is where I think, personally, I think it would even be strategic. It's not great for Chelsea. It's not great for us. But for Todd Boehly, strategically, I think it would be good if this just went on longer. Because if he actually does have other investors that are ready for him to come and maybe put a bid in to take Clearlake share, and for him to take the full package and the entire football club, then the longer it goes on, the more it's damaging to Clearlake, and I think the more that he forces their hand, personally. I don't feel we're going to see anyone budge, though, for a while. And like I said in yesterday's video that I put on my channel, I said, look, you're going to see the PR. We thought the PR was bad already. Because the PR and the briefings were put towards the fan base. Well, now it's against each other. We get to take a back seat. We get to just watch between themselves, start hitting PR at each other, and try and make the public perception go in their favor, whichever way they're going to do it, against each other. So it's an interesting time. It's an interesting dynamic. Unfortunately, we're collateral damage. The club is collateral damage. The players are collateral damage. The coach is collateral damage. And that's the unfortunate thing here, which is why, like, now I look at this and I think, okay, we're going to have to take a step back on the team, the coach, the results, because no normal team can function in this way, like on a consistent basis. It's just not possible. So this is where, I think it'll take time. This is where I go back to the original point. Strategically, for Todd, the longer this goes on, the more it goes in his favour, I reckon. And it's going to be interesting to see how Clearlake manage it too, because I feel like they're going to want to try and force his hand ASAP. Like, as soon as possible, they need to try and get him out the door. I think it's going to just turn into an all-out war, basically. And I'm not looking forward to it, if I'm honest. But
yeah, I mean, what you just mentioned in terms of collateral damage is just reminding me, because it's been international break since this broke, and we haven't had to deal with the press conferences and then the questions from Maresca, and it's just,
he's going to have to answer all of that.
I'll come to you next, because, bro, I don't know what your initial feeling was when you read this news just break, because I actually was quite early to it, which is rare for me, because usually lateness is greatness, but I was one of the first to jump on it, because it just suited me time wise. I was ready. And the amount of people that were like, nah, this can't be true. You know, Boomerang news report, they're always trying to stitch us up. And, you know, Bloomberg, you just have to just leave it to the wayside. It's almost like because we are getting attacked as a fan base or as a club quite often now because of the way we move, or because of the Gallagher situation or Sterling situation, banishing players, spending money. We always have our fists up. As soon as anything comes out, it's like, yo, I'm ready to fight. Don't mess with me. Sometimes it's true. Sometimes it's true. And unfortunately, this is reality. And it shouldn't be that surprising to anyone. But how does this make you feel about the season? And how did you feel when this came out? And I guess whose side are you on if you have to pick someone, if you've picked someone?
Bro, that's such a loaded question. And I love the fact that you put it that way, because that's exactly how I felt and through this entire saga so far. Initially, I was like, yeah, this was expected. We could all see it. It's not shocking for me. We can see that both the owners are not collaborating, even though that's what they preach. But as days went on, things started to simmer in my head. It started to marinate, and I started to think about it a lot deeper. So there's different perspectives here. As a fan, just like Younes, I'm with him. And just like I'm pretty sure Javon and yourself as well, Matisse, it saddens me. It saddens me that they're playing with this football club in front of the whole world. Do you know what I mean? It's an ego battle. One owner wants the power, the other wants to take over this, that, the other, and ultimately the fans suffer, the manager suffers, the player suffers. I've got no doubt that this will have a negative impact, but we can talk about that down the track. The other thing, as days have gone by, I feel like, you know what's happening here? I feel like both the owners might be looking at an exit strategy here. This is a very, very different perspective that I just probably over the last 24 hours. I feel either Todd Boehly, who's realized I'm just a puppet here, and like I'm no longer, I don't have a voice. I may have minority stakeholdership. I may have minority shareholdings of 13% or 14%, but I've been shunned away. So I'm going to create as much as mess as possible in media. I'm going to let my team do all of these briefings and let all of these journalists know to create a fuss in the media and try and see if I can push Clearlake to buy me out at the highest level of money. Because I'm a businessman. At the end of the day, whatever I've outlaid, I want to make sure that not only I get that back, plus more. So I'm not here to waste 2.5 seasons, whatever it is, since the owners have come in, only to just get my share back of whatever billions it was, right? I want to make sure I get a little bit more than that. Clearlake probably didn't expect this from Boehly, but they're sort of in the situation where they're like, ooh, have we found ourselves an exit strategy here? Because they probably look at this and they're like, you know what? Okay, fine. We've got a new manager in. We've got some new players in. Looks like the structure's fine. But here we have Todd Boehly. He's going out there and threatening that he could possibly buy us out 61%. He could possibly find funders elsewhere to buy us out. All right, big shot. Go and find funders. Go and get me the money and bail me out of this project. It's apparently touted to be 2.5 billion, 3 billion, something like that, to be able to buy out Clearlake. But Clearlake might turn around and say, no, that's just the base figure. As Younes said, I've got shareholders to feed. We didn't just invest money to get 2.5 billion or 3 billion. You're going to bring me 4 billion now. Or you're going to bring me 4.5 billion now. And you can then buy me out. So I think both sides have sort of given each other the opportunity to get an exit strategy out of here. Ultimately, these people are business people. Matisse, they're not emotionally vested. That's what I've clocked. They're not emotionally attached with this football club. There's no reason for them to be emotionally attached with this football club. They're here to ensure that by the end of their tenure, that whatever they've outlaid, they double that, triple that, quadruple that. That is the main game at the end of the day. So, look, I don't know. It could just be a stalemate. It could just be that no parties have given each other any offers and they stay how it is. But that's going to create a massive impact because looks like now Todd Boehly, he still is able to sign things off. Like he's still, even though he's got a minor shareholding, there is still a sign-off process which goes through him as well. So he could start vetoing stuff from here on in. He could start saying, no, I don't like that. We're not doing that. You need to get everyone's signature. I'm not doing that. So, as I said, ultimately, we're the ones who are going to suffer. Players, I can only imagine, just you lads who are working and whatnot, being in a company run by an ownership that is so not stable, you as an employee, it will affect you. I know I would, if my company ownership level are having problems, I don't know what my future is. So look, all I hope that the players can do a job when the Bournemouth game comes around, but I'm not going to be surprised if some of them seem a little bit disillusioned by the whole situation. But I just feel like I think what's happening here between the owners, they've just found themselves an exit strategy and they're waiting for one or the other to come and bite me out.
Yeah. Javon, brother. I mean, it's never a dull day at Chelsea, is it? I mean, you'd think international break, the main concern would be avoid injuries, avoid, any setbacks for the rest of the season, because we don't want to lose players, and we've lost a lot of players over the last year. That's my main concern, is keeping people fit for this season, really. But we've now got something else to deal with that's going to take all the headlines. All of the reporters they're going to be waiting in that first press conference from Maresca to jump on it. We've seen that he's spoken really well so far since he's taken over. He seems to be very good with his words. But do you have less expectations for the team for the rest of the season because of what's going on, or for you is it as business as usual, just needs to be separated everything out?
Yeah, going into the international break, you'd think finally a quiet window where people are not roasting Chelsea or people are not attacking Chelsea to a certain extent, right? We kind of went into it calm and then this thing happened. But for the point of Maresca, this is going to tell what kind of manager he is, isn't it? Because just like Miz just said, we were all workers at some point. Some of us still are, and when the upper management, the owners, are having issues with the company, it tends to trickle down, but not necessarily for all departments. Because if you have a good manager, what a good manager typically does is calms the mind of his direct inline employees. That kind of calms it down a bit, reassures everybody that they're good, and can still churn out good performances. I know football is different, but this is going to tell what kind of manager Maresca is. Is Maresca going to have a close-knit dressing room and say, hey boys, we still got a job to do here. Don't mind anything that happens above us, because whatever happens above us, we cannot affect that. The only thing we can affect is our performances on the pitch and how we go out there and give a good account of ourselves. When it comes on to the press conference, Maresca, what I'm expecting from Maresca is what he's done so far. For example, remember when the whole Sterling debacle happened? Immediately he says, listen, and with the extra transfers, he says, listen, I'm working with 22 people or 23 people at most. We knew he wasn't working with 22 people, but what he did in that time, he shut it down. He shut down all the rumors. He was cut and dry and said, hey, this is what I'm working with, and this is how it's going to go forward. Especially if you take an example of how you handle the Sterling situation by saying, I spoke to Raheem, this is what it is, and this is how it's going to be. What I get from those two scenarios is that he's very straightforward. And once he has set his ways of operating, he's going to stick to that. So I'm expecting him to come in and say, hey, whatever is happening at boardroom level is happening at boardroom level. I cannot affect that at all. Once I'm still employed here, I expect to come out and do my job, which is in training, on the pitch, and so on and so forth. And I expect my players to follow that mold. If we can get him, if he does that, which from my experience and what I've seen, I think he can, then I don't think we should have too much of a negative impact. It will impact because you can't avoid the news. And they probably will have some form of conversation within that Chelsea environment. But I expect him to say, hey, this is what we can control. We're going to control what we can control, and I still expect a certain level of performances. For me, expectations should still remain the same. Operate as if nothing's changed until something has actually changed.
Yeah. No, I like that, because for me, the season can't go to waste, even if mentally it is going to be a challenge. I have to see. It's the third year. I remember when the reports dropped about 4 transfer windows, then judge us. I find it very interesting that, 2 billionaires now are disagreeing, because the narrative has always been, for anyone who's disagreed with the ownership up until this point, who has not agreed with absolutely everything that they've been doing and have not looked at them like the messiahs that they're not. The argument, the bog standard argument has always been, well, why would you question a billionaire? You're just a YouTuber, or you're just a fan. You're just a Twitter account. You're just whatever it is, right? Whatever people do to push down other opinions that don't align with them, right? So if 2 billionaires disagree with how to run the football club, then it just goes to show that there is room for jeopardy. There is room for concern. There is room for disagreement, because they're both incredibly successful and they don't agree with each other. So by logic now, we can disagree with one of them at least, right? Because when you spend the amount of money we've spent, and when you invest the amount of money we've invested, and you move the way that we move, it has consequences, right? In terms of the landscape of how we're perceived, and also how people judge us. You can't move any way you wish to move and then complain about the way that you're judged. You have to be judged accordingly. And the thing is with me is that with these guys is, I feel like I'm having to force it in regards to, yes, I would pick a Todd majority ownership over an Egbahli, just because, and to be super simplistic, it is the fact that he just seems to be more ingrained in sport in general. He seems to have more of a sports mindset. He seems to actually care more about sport than Egbahli. We know Egbahli and Clear Lake Capital don't care about sports whatsoever. If he wears a Chelsea hat, he has a Chelsea scarf on, he's carrying a Chelsea bag, like, he's at least trying to be involved. He's at least put himself in the limelight in a way where he probably wouldn't want to be, because it seems like Egbahli wants to be the day-to-day guy. He wants to be the one that's actually really involved and really up close. And I was questioning in my video, when they was walking into changing rooms, who was actually the one that wanted to do that? Because the media and the way that it's painted is Todd Boehly is the loud American that wants to be front and center of everything, but he was almost having to be the face of the company or the institution that is Clear Lake, and he had to be the face of the ownership. He had to take that sporting director role in the first summer when he was never qualified for it, while these guys sat in the back end. And then as soon as things started to calm down, they start to step forward now and wanna run things in the way that they see fit. But for me, as a football club, we can't sit here and say, or people will say, we won't say, but we're run fantastically. We're run brilliantly. How can we be run brilliantly and have this type of situation pop up? It's impossible for you to be run brilliantly and for your two loudest mouths in that institution to be arguing about the way and the culture of how we're doing things, which is something that has been questioned, whether it's, okay, both of them like a youth data-driven model, but one maybe didn't want to spend £1.2 billion on that model in the first couple of years, and one clearly did. Or one would rather not banish, academy graduates and players from the first team squad and move a little bit more silently and with a bit more, decorum and a little bit more class. And the other maybe does. And I'm not to say which one's right or wrong, but it just comes back to the center, which is when fans question what is going on with their football club, they're more than entitled to do so, because the people up there are not even all on the same wavelength. And then when the stadium stuff comes out, and is anybody jump in when you hear this nonsense? How many times is that Guardian report, I'm not even going to say his name, how many more times is he going to fool this fan base? How ironic is it that as we are talking about one of the bullet points from the Athletic, which is the stadium, the lack of progress from the stadium, Earl's Court, guys, don't worry about it. We got it under control. We know that Earl's Court is going to be redeveloped into residential. And maybe there'll be a shopping centre, or it won't be a stadium. We know this. It's already been confirmed. There was already clarification on this months ago, if not even years ago.
Years, yeah.
Because, again, this is something that they've underestimated. When Roman was here, we wanted to expand the stadium. We already went through all of this, and it wasn't so easy because there's height restrictions and there's width restrictions, and there's probably underground restriction because of the tube. There's every type of restriction you could possibly face when it comes to expanding Stamford Bridge. It's not from a lack of ambition. Roman was happy to go in debt for us. He wanted to have a bigger stadium. Why would he not? But it's not that easy. And they've obviously underestimated that when bidding for the club. But to come out with this Earl's Court nonsense, and then you have, and this is where I'm just like, this is what really blows my mind. Then people have the audacity to start going at Chelsea fans that are like, nah, we're not feeling the stadium talk right now. Yeah, slow down. Why aren't the CPO just allowing us to go to Earl's Court right now? This is ridiculous. Hold on a second. Before we start talking about stadiums, can we talk about who's the majority shareholder? Can we talk about what direction we're going in? From Egbahli's direction to Todd Boehly's? Can we have clarification on who's going to stay in the hierarchy and who's going to leave? Why should we sign off on moving stadium? Why?
No, do you know what?
Can we do one thing at a time? What's going on here?
It's so clear that every person right now, if you're still being so positive unnecessarily, the word that goes toxic positivism, if you're still being that, you're now well and truly deeply into full-on delusionism.
Yep.
Full-on delusionism, because you actually cannot sit there and go, oh, everything's fine. the ownership, they're doing such a great job. Yeah, why aren't the Chelsea pitch owners just obliging? No. From an ownership level, there's no synchronized cohesion, right? There's no cohesion from an ownership level. So that in itself should tell you it's not running the way it needs to be run. Mm-hmm. So one, don't be going after fans. And two, with this whole fake news from that Jacob Steinberger, whatever his name is, how he's still got a job with The Guardian, I've got no idea.
It's true.
What's he trying to do? He's trying to paint a picture that, we found a spot, but it's the fans that don't want to leave. Don't try and shift the blame towards the fans here. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. If anything, we're the ones who are the least amount to be blamed. We're not the ones who are making the decisions here. Matisse ain't the one, Younes ain't the one, I'm not the one, Javon's not the one that's doing all the signings of different stuff, whether it's in regards to bringing in players or bringing in managers, or the lack of sponsorships that we have in the front of our shirt, and all the different.
Have no front of shirt sponsorship?
Still, second year running. Second year. Now we know why. Now we know why. So don't blame fans. You're the one who came in and you chopped everyone. Everyone that you knew that was close to the club, you said, see you later. And you brought in your people, and you also sacked them too as well, by the way.
Mm-hmm. They brought in their own CEO, sacked him,
and they got rid of
brought
them.
in another CEO. And I'm meant to even trust that this is a good CEO that they've brought in. How do we know?
Trust the process. You don't trust your own process.
What process? I ask you, what process?
So don't be blaming the fans. And I think this is what I said. Like, I don't have one or the other. I thought initially, yeah, you know what? I don't mind a Todd Boehly majority. Then I started to think about it deeply. I don't like any of them.
Yeah.
I actually don't like any of them. But the issue is, I have to have one.
I beg to differ.
Go on.
I beg to differ, because I feel like that's been the biggest misconception throughout. And I think that the entire fan base has taken for that ride that they're locked in 10 years, shut up, take it or leave it, done, right? And it's got to be them or whatnot. But now we're in a situation where we have one is able to buy out the other. So Boehly can leave and sell if he wants to his stake. His stake can be sold, right, to Clearlake, no problem. Clearlake's stake can be sold to Boehly, no problem. Boehly can go and get outside investors that are not currently within the club to come in and be part of his group, which means we can get new people in, but these guys are locked in for 10 years and they can't leave. I don't buy it.
There's a loophole, huh? There's a loophole.
These guys are the kings of loopholes, aren't they? So look, but you know what? I think there was one caveat. Remember at the very beginning, we were hearing that there had to be an investment made of 1.2, 1.5 billion.
Yeah,
that was a requirement, right?
That was a requirement. Yeah.
Well, guess what? We've done that. Yeah. That's been spent now, hasn't it? Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's unlocked a lot of things. I don't think it's a shock now. We're starting to hear what we're hearing now of the owners coming at each other just as soon as we've actually spent that entire amount of money, because I feel like that opens a lot of doors. There's the whole real estate stuff as well with the 2 hotels, the training ground. I mean, the women's team's been separated. There's various assets that have been separated from Chelsea FC and are now part of the Blueco holding, isn't it? So I feel like there's a lot that's been unlocked recently that coincides with what we're seeing now. I believe they can both sell if they want to now.
Do you think this is a hit and run?
I think, listen, I think
it could be a hit and run.
I think more so on Clearlake's part. I feel like this is why I said earlier on, more so on Clearlake's part, it could be a hit and run now, because this is why I say the longer they stay, there's the biggest risk of beginning to devalue the brand. Things start to look damaging. Investors' confidence starts to go down. I just feel like that could impact Clearlake a lot more than anyone else. So if they were to just run now, sell and run, they're easily doubling what they paid in the first instance, easily, because they bought Chelsea on the cheap, right? If the club were to be sold now, it's easily 4.5 billion or so. I'd say easily, with all the assets included, easily, possibly even looking 5, right? They can.
Why have we gone up in valuation when we've dropped off from a performance standpoint? Like, we're not in the Champions League. We're not. Why would you say that the valuation's gone up so much?
Because of the
Chelsea was bought
because of the invested potential.
They
the
bought the
investment
club for-
potential. Yeah.
There's that. They bought the club for $2.5 billion. It was on a cut price, right? So just as soon as they've walked in and they've acquired the whole control, immediately their return on investment is higher. Immediately. But as you've said, there are things in place now where you look at valuation that's going to come in later. There's the assets that I've just mentioned that have been separated. Those can be put on add-ons now if someone were to come in. I feel like if they were to sell now, if things don't go well in the near future, I feel like they jeopardize what they could potentially run away with now. Right? And this is why I say the longer this goes on, I feel like it suits Todd Boehly, it doesn't suit Clearlake. But I believe both can run. I believe both can sell if they really want to now. And I just don't feel like that's been made a thing to the fan base, because if that were the case, I feel like the fan base, if the fan base had the choice, I feel like most will now be like, okay, listen, everyone, just pack up your bags.
That's information that would charge up the fan base to be like, all right, everybody get out, and everybody would start really moving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is what I was saying.
Riots at that point.
This is why I was saying that both of them are looking at it like there is an exit strategy here. I just didn't clock that maybe both can exit at the same time. I just thought maybe one still needs to stick around. But this is interesting. To go back to what you just said, Matisse, what would be, we're not performing well. How's our valuation going up? Don't forget, I think it's all starting to make sense now while we're talking about this. This is like a think tank here. All these players that we like doing the acquisition and bringing them in, they're bolstering the balance sheet as well, by the way. So we might be thinking here, this 41-man squad, this isn't any good. But for them, in their balance sheet, the 41-man squad looks brilliant because each of them hold a certain amount of value. And some of it increased in value, right? Like, for example, Cole Palmer. He's probably worth in their balance sheet in excess of 100 million. So they bought him for 40 million. Now he's in excess of 100 million. There could be many other players that could be like that. There could be other players that could be devalued in terms of their valuation going down. But overall, there's that. They've got the brand, which is huge. Chelsea as a brand. London being the location, all the different assets in terms of hotels, the parking lot, the Copium training facility, plus the players. All up, I'm probably with Younes. This is
the only thing they're missing is the stadium. Maybe that is the final straw to say, okay, this isn't even possible. So now there's nothing more to be done. Because I think if they felt like the stadium could be done,
then no
valuation lift would stick around. No one would move. No one would move, because if you build, and I'm not saying the same design, obviously, because it's the toilet bowl, but if you was to build a stadium in Tottenham, in terms of the level that Tottenham have, in terms of the quality, because their stadium is very high quality, the valuation of Chelsea would just push to another level, stratosphere.
Yeah. But they probably clocked. They can't make the stadium. Or they already knew that from the beginning. Maybe they already knew that.
I feel like they might have underestimated that.
I think they have.
If I'm being honest, I think they've underestimated that one. Because it's very easy to think, okay, new stadium. But to go into the deep detail and now realize, especially the power of the CPO, the restrictions around Stamford Bridge. Oh no, we can't go to Earls Court. We can't go to Earls Court. If anyone's saying Earls Court, it's impossible. It's not happening. So forget that. There's nowhere else in London. I feel like there's been an underestimation in regards to the stadium on their part. I don't think they thought that one through completely, but that's just my guess.
The more we discuss it, the more we talk about this, all of this is leading to Clearlake and Egbahli and how he operates. Like, guys, if you take a step back and just think about what Matisse's question, why does the value of Chelsea double? It's because of the potential of investment in terms of player quality and the type of players we bring in. Plus, they have youth on their side. So normally in this market, once you have youth and some form of quality, you're going to be priced higher than someone that's already at that level, but at an older age, i.e. someone, I don't want to necessarily call names right now, but someone that did, like Tony, for example. 28, no one came in for him because they're not going to get a return on their investment. Now, with that being said, that plus the outreach that Chelsea garnered under the Clear Lake ownership, as in like we're signing kids from Africa. We have a new outreach in Africa. We're signing kids from Brazil, directly from Brazil. That never used to happen before. Normally it's from they will normally complete their
Shakhtar Donetsk or someone,
and then go there. Exactly. So they did grow the brand of Chelsea in that aspect, and all of that adds to the evaluation of that. When you if I had to choose, I would choose Todd Boehly, because if you look at it, Boehly did want to go down the direction of youth, but he wanted to go down it, I want to say the right way, how everybody wanted to go down that road. Remember when we had this discussion in the past, everyone unilaterally agreed that we'd sign some quality at a more mature and experienced level, and then bring in the youth to learn from that. Boehly was trying to do that. If you look at his first transfer window, which I'm not judging, by the way, because he's not a sporting director and he didn't have a sporting director. And the sporting director he did bring in from his side that he wanted that sporting director wanted to bring in top quality, not youth.
Christopher Vell.
Correct. He wanted quality, not youth. Please remember that. So how Boehly wanted to go down was the route that everyone wanted to go down. Quality first, then you go down youth. Youth can learn from quality. Quality time is done. Youth come in, takes the place, so on and so forth, and the cycle continues. When you couple that with Boehly wanted to buy the club back in 2019, it screams, I'm a Chelsea fan. I want to be an owner of a football club. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to get people in the position that knows what they're doing. Isn't that how 90% of these football clubs are run?
Yeah.
Ownership.
Yeah, it is.
Sporting directors and leave it. That's how Boehly wants to run it. When we hear reports, and we can actually see this, that Egbahli wants to have the look over your shoulder, I'm there, are you doing your job type of approach, the micromanaging approach. These are where these issues comes in. These are where we get people coming out and saying these are where we get the bunch of PRs. These are where we're getting the multiple transfers, because I think he has an unhealthy obsession with transfers. I do not get it. These are where we get the flipping of players, and it has to stop at some point. So if I were to choose, I would go with Todd Boehly. I don't necessarily want to go with a new ownership, because from what I've seen with Todd Boehly, he's the type of owner. He's a typical owner.
The stacking of Washington's Dacho Fofana's views. You see Fofana's going to Athens today. We haven't even developed him. He's no better a player than when he arrived.
Yep.
That's the God's to honest truth. He's no better a player than when he arrived.
Maybe he's even declined.
Angelo is no better a player than when he arrived. We've not even developed these guys. But we have potentially, if he is to be sold for 20 million to Athens, made a profit. But we've not even maximized on the profit that we could have made. I think these are 30, 40 million pound players potentially, if we actually had a plan for them, if we actually didn't overdo it to the point where we don't have space for them and we don't have the mind to even manage them. Because I don't understand how you have two sporting directors, you should have a loan manager, and you still are waiting for the Greek, Turkish deadlines to get players out the door and to move them on. Yeah. These are not players on 300k a week, 200k a week that are financially difficult to move. These are players that are on low wages, that are part of your project, that you can't manage your assets properly. And when we look at even Dacho Fofana in general, in terms of backing up Jackson, why is that not an option? Like, why is that completely off the table? Why was Chukwuemeka completely off the table as someone that could contribute? Why is Angelo completely off the table? If you don't have any homes for these guys to go to, why are they not training with us? Why are they not playing in preseason? Why are they not an option in Conference League games? Why is Dacho Fofana completely just not involved? And you is. That's also something that puzzles me. That's also something that confuses me. I don't understand it.
All of this coincides to when Egbahli took a stronghold in the relations of Chelsea. Because remember, it was all Todd Boehly first, and then Egbahli stepped in. And remember, at that same time, we got a briefing and a report that Todd Boehly was going to take a step back and Egbahli was going to step up. All of that coincides because they're looking at these players as literal assets, and not a good asset, an asset that you can sell, get a profit off of. Flipping these people. referring to us as customers and not fans. This is a more robotic approach, and we're just gonna do what we're gonna do. We're gonna use you, basically. I once said this was player trafficking as a joke, and the more I think about it, the more I look into it. It's true.
Yep.
But it also confuses me as to how people continue to trust the hires and the appointments. Say Todd Boehly, I think, had someone that he appointed at the beginning to do the stadium, refurbishment, do the stadium upgrade, do the stadium expansion, the stadium build. And then it came out in a report that Egbahli's actually scrapped that and he's got his own people to do it. But when we've seen you hire a CEO that still couldn't get us a front of shirt sponsor for this season, for the second season running, why should the CPO grant you permission to start building a stadium when we don't even know if you're going to build it properly? Mm-hmm. We don't even know if you're going to build it with the fans in mind, or are you going to build it like a Baku Europa League final where there's 20k Chelsea fans, there's 5k away fans, and the rest is corporate. We don't know. We don't. How can you give? You can't give these guys the green light.
No.
You've got boxes to tick. You've got milestones to meet that you haven't met yet as custodians of the football club. Until you meet those tick those boxes, why are we to now give you more permission, give you more power? You have enough power as it is. You have more than enough power. So I personally, I'm not interested. As much as we need a new stadium, and I'm very flexible with it, if that Earl's Court option was there, I would grab it with both hands, because I do think Chelsea need to be in a bigger stadium. I do think our ticket revenue is too low. I do think that to keep up with clubs that we're bigger than, not even clubs that we're trying to be competing with, clubs that we are guaranteed 100% without dispute bigger than Tottenham, bigger than these clubs, we need to expand. Mm-hmm. But we also need to know who's running that project to make sure that it does get done in a serious amount of time. We shouldn't be sitting here in 10 years still playing at Wembley Stadium or wherever we are because these guys, there's delays, or there's an issue here, or we hired the wrong person, there's been a mistake. Now there's a free. This is not the Elizabeth line.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to hear that there's been delays or, it's going to take 3 extra years. Sorry about that. Because you're going to bear the consequences when we're playing at Wembley or when we're playing away from home. We're playing at stadiums that we're not accustomed to. So it's not just some... people talk about it like it's some little... This is a big thing. It's something that could affect it could affect the transfer market and how we move with money. The longer it takes, the more delays, the more expensive it costs, the more it will impact us in the market. It's not something to just click your hands and be like, yeah, give them access. We don't need to own the pitch anymore, guys. They can pick us up, move them wherever we want. Let's go to Epping. Let's go to Essex. Let's go to Slough. Let's go to Surrey. You don't just give people power like that, especially people that don't love your football club.
Facts.
Couldn't probably give 2 shits about your football club. It's an investment. It's an asset. It's something that they may flip. It may be a hit and run. We don't even know. But we don't know these people. We need to stop pretending like we do. True. We can only judge them off what they actually do, not what we think they can do. It's like falling in love. People are falling in love and they're building them up for marriage and for something. Please, we've gone on 3 dates and 2 dates you spat. And 1 date, it's like, can we just be serious for a second? You know what I mean? You were rude to the waiter. You then 1 date you ran to the bathroom and you didn't pay and I had to pay for you. Like, we need to just analyze what's going on. Mm-hmm. Not what we think's going on.
Do you know what, Matisse? The Chelsea pitch owners, this is probably the last thing to unlock, for these guys. So there is no way we cannot let that happen, because once they unlock this as well, full power and the valuation of the football club rises even more, because they can now potentially put out a package to new investors that, hey, everything has been unlocked for you. You do what you want to do. We've got the pitch owners, all of their ownership in our hand. We've bought them off.
They can't do that. They can't do that, though. Legally, they can't do that. There's no way. Like, there's genuinely no way they can get hold of the CPO. That's been it's been so safeguarded and put in a way that protects the pitch and protects the name Chelsea FC. What they would have to do, right? No lie, this is what they would have to do. They would have to go and build their own stadium, leave Stamford Bridge as it is, build their own stadium, and then come up with a new name of their own football club I don't know. They could actually bring out like Chelsea Cowboys or something. They could actually do that, right? And form a brand new football club and try and transfer as much people to their brand new football club as much as possible. The CPO
London
protects
FC.
so much of Chelsea that it's just not feasible.
Younes, just a quick question in regards to the CPO. Whatever they bought, obviously it's shares, right? It's shares that they've bought off the pitch, correct? If I'm
They
right?
own the they own the pitch at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, so it's the shares of the pitch, right? Shares
Yeah.
of the pitch. Yeah. So I'm guessing that those shares would be worth a lot of money. Each share, each portion of that pitch would be worth a lot of money because it's in prime location.
But it's owned by fans, ex-players, ex-managers. It's done in a way where people own it.
Yeah,
You're gonna have you have to buy it from thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
No, of course. So let's say if I was an individual investor, because I think I saw Louis on Twitter say that he's one of the pitch
He's a
owners.
pitch owner. Anyone can be a pitch owner. Yeah.
So how does it work, Younes? Like, is it like you buy one?
You buy
share?
one share.
Like you buy
Yeah.
one share. Okay. So
Yeah.
let's just say, for argument's sake, Louis bought that one share ages ago for I don't know £1,000, right?
Yeah.
That the longer you hold on, like that valuation will go up because it's in prime location. Is that how it works? Like
So
the
the
valuation
value-
of that pitch will go up because it's in prime location.
So it's depending. It's depending. So let's say he bought that years ago at $10. If the value of the pitch and the football club rises, where everything else goes up to prime value, then your shares goes up to prime value.
So it only makes sense that it would be our owners will have to throw money, ridiculous money, to
And-
buy the pitch owners' shares. Basically, they'd have to say for each share £10,000.
But it's not feasible because you
it's
have
not
to
feasible.
get every single pitch owner to
Yeah,
accept.
you'd have to get everyone. You'd have to get everyone to
impossible.
accept.
It's
It's
impossible.
impossible. Literally.
impossible.
there's no
What if
chance.
they go each share £50,000?
Even then, like there's thousands
There's
of
thousands.
pitch owners.
Yeah,
and
you'd have
They'll
to get
just say,
people to
no,
sign
no,
out.
no,
it's
avoid this.
compromised. It's compromised of people, like so the general public, it's like fans, ex-employees, players, ex-players,
Can I
ex-managers.
say, there's people that would reject 50,000. Like,
There-
there's
yeah, yeah,
people.
yeah.
There's
It's not
people.
about the
people that
money.
just
There's
love the
people
club.
It's
that.
not about the money.
Yeah, like they love the football
Exactly.
club, and rightly so, to the level where if they smell something is dodgy, and it would be dodgy if someone's offering you that kind of money to do something. Like, we're talking about name change, we're talking about stadium location change, we're talking about basically stripping. If we haven't done it enough already, stripping the entire fabric of the football club and redoing it over, and not necessarily for the good. Because you can't predict it. You really can't. Because again, these people have got their own potential agendas or their own potential, profits or, whatever they want to get out of it, they can get out of it. So yeah,
it is,
it's not-
therefore,
it's
it
not
could
gonna happen.
probably not happen. Like, it could
It
actually not happen.
You need the whatever happens, it needs the approval of the CPO, and for that to happen, I don't know if it would have to go through a vote of all the CPO members and whatnot, maybe. So then collectively the CPO can make a decision, but the CPO protects the heart of the football club. You have the pitch that the team plays on and the name Chelsea Football Club. It's owned by the CPO. No one can touch that. So
Every owner would have this problem. Every owner would have.
Everybody would have this
would
problem.
have to
Yeah,
go
yeah,
by
yeah,
the CPO. Every owner.
I reckon.
And rightly so.
circling back-
I think rightly so. I mean, do you
Rightly
remember when
so.
Cardiff, they were trying to change from blue kits to red? Red home
Yeah.
kits.
Yeah,
Because they
yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
represent their home country back in
Home
Asia.
country.
I think it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
Was
yeah,
it
yeah.
Singapore?
Yeah, I think one of the Asian
think so.
nations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Might have
So
been
they want.
Singapore,
So they,
yeah.
bruv, can you imagine Chelsea wearing red? Or
Oh, no. Some people, it's not. Some people
I would-
commit
I would
like attempted murder.
throw
for
up.
it, like, no.
Imagine us wearing red.
can you imagine Chelsea coming out of a red home? So
Mate,
yeah,
John Terry at Copium used to switch the lights, switch the switches off just because at the top of the switch there's a bit of red. He didn't want any red in the building. Like, That's how deep. There's some
Yeah.
Chelsea that would go just to not see red. It's just
Instead of blue is the color, we're singing
Blue
red
is
is
the
the
colour.
color.
So do you reckon our current owners have clocked that? Do you know what? This is actually impossible.
maybe.
Well, hopefully, yeah.
And
For them.
Well, it looks like for anyone.
It's impossible
to be
for
honest.
them because of
No,
the way
it's-
that they're moving. It's not
Yeah,
necessarily
well,
impossible
definitely
for
for
someone
them,
else
the
who
way
moves
they're
in the
moving.
right way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If they had come in and show the true proper Chelsea basically, then they wouldn't have a problem getting that approved.
Even Roman struggled. Like,
No, but
you
I was
can't
going to
be-
make this point. Roman even got to a point where, do you remember the design was done? It got approval by the council. Everything was in motion. It was ready. Do you remember the cathedral?
Oh yeah, the cathedral. Yeah.
Where's
that
plan
passed?
gone?
Was that passed?
It was passed. And I think it was going to be a capacity of somewhere between 55 to 60. Like, you can't do
But that
more.
was gonna
It
be
was gonna
in-
that. But it was going
was
to be
gonna-
at Stamford Bridge. Yeah,
At Stamford Bridge. Yeah,
Passed.
yeah.
It was passed. And everything was calculated. Everything was good. Where's that plan gone? Why have we not proceeded with that then? Or are we trying to get something even bigger?
The thing is with him is that he had those intangibles coming in where it's like, and this is where they've gone so wrong. And this is where when people say, oh, just grant them the access. Look how many things they've done that has pissed off
Red flags.
that part of the fan base that will have those shares. And to be honest, it's an international thing. So you really can't even compute the damage that you've potentially done with those people. That is silent damage, by the way. It doesn't have to be voices, it doesn't have to be protests, it doesn't have to be, people coming out with banners and songs sung. Just the fact that they're still singing Roman's name. Just the fact that they're still singing for ex-players' names, which I wouldn't, because like I said, but I'm not gonna get into that because people will feel and do as they please. I'm not here to control. But just know that if that's happening, you're not going to get that perk. You're not going to get that access granted from thousands of people past when all of this commotion is constantly going on. And rightly so. Yeah. If you're going to run our football club, run it immaculately. Run it absolutely immaculately. And if you're not going to build to a point where you run it immaculately, and no one can confirm that they are, because all I'm seeing is more drama. All I'm seeing is more CEOs circling, more sackings, more division, more divide. Just when you think Chelsea this season, you've got your manager, you've got your philosophy, you've got your way of doing things. Let's keep it calm now. Let's keep it quiet. Let's get to a point now where we're not in the news. We're not in the circus of media. Let's go about our merry way. Let's try and put together some sort of consistency in football matches so we can put ourselves in Champions League places. This pops up. And then they want to start briefing back and forth. If people care, you keep it closed. Keep it behind the scenes because you know what this does. You know what the back and forth online does. So why would you do it? Why would you not keep that in-house? Why would you not try and keep it closed? Under Roman, we didn't utter a word. Because the focus was win. The focus was deliver. So I'm going to keep myself so silent so you have no excuse but to deliver. And it's not even about, and I actually want to circle back to Todd Boehly before we move on to a different topic, but when people talk about that first window, we can't pretend like we didn't used to sign Falcaos and Higuains and Patos. So when we sign Aubameyang, who's banging in regular goals in the Prem, and give him to Tuchel, who wanted him, a manager that's won Champions League, that's been to multiple finals, that's won Club World Cup, Super Cup. You don't give Tuchel more than 45 minutes to manage Aubameyang in a Champions League game. So how do you expect to judge Aubameyang as a signing if you didn't allow the manager you bought him for to use him? How can you judge Sterling, Cucurella? Fofana was obviously an injury, separate situation. But all of those signings, there needs to be an asterisk next to them because you literally sacked the manager that you signed them for. And gave. You don't make the same signings for Tuchel as you make for Graham Potter. They're completely contrasting philosophies. So we can't even go back to that window and be like, that was a shocking window because we didn't even allow that window to breathe. True. Yeah. We didn't even allow that window to even do its thing. We didn't even get a year to judge it under stable circumstances with one manager and say, okay, right, these guys are bona fide flops. If you're a new owner coming in from America and you don't know the footballing landscape, the only thing you can do is sign experienced players that have been there and done it.
Yeah.
What else are you meant to do?
And then figure it out while you're going.
Am I meant to expect this guy to find the next Neymar in Brazil in his first window when he knows nothing about the sport? And you have to sign those type of players.
He's not a sporting director. When he was doing this, he was just doing it as an interim because there was no one else to help him out. So to blame that, oh, look at the kind of signings that Todd Boehly was doing. Oh, he was about to give Mason Mount a 300k wage, this, that. But he didn't know better at that time. He thought, let's just work with what I've got, the manager. Let's be honest, Thomas Tuchel did like Mason Mount. He liked him a lot. So he might have thought, okay, this is one player that we need to keep. Who else do you want? Oba, you've worked with him previously. Let's try and get him in. And as Matisse said, we didn't let that situation to even like develop. We sacked the guy, and we have to remember. I remember the Athletic dropping articles that it was Egbahli that wasn't getting along with Thomas Tuchel. He wanted day-to-day updates about his whereabouts, what you're eating, when you go into the toilet, and the guy was not letting him know all of these details. So Boehly had to jump in and get them somewhat close, but it just wouldn't happen because Egbahli, the way he runs the show, is very micromanaging style, which we saw the consequent season when he started to get his hands much more involved at Chelsea. And look, at this moment, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and also say that, Boehly might be the best person, because I can't forget the fact that this is the same guy when we were playing Real Madrid first leg was saying 3-0, 3-0, this, that, the other, having a good meal.
We're not up 3-0 in the second leg though.
Yeah, and he goes around talking about 4-4-3 formation. He goes around so I'm not going to pretend that this guy's a saint. I don't think anyone is a saint in this whole situation.
No.
What saddens me is they've screwed the entire club and the fan base. And how do we now get a good solution out of this? I don't know. It looks like to me both the owners probably want out, but they want to go out on their own merit and the right money being given to them.
If he is at least aware enough to know that he's not an expert in football, which he seems to know, because he wants, in according to those reports, he wants a sporting director to run it and then to be left alone, not for him to be interfering, because he understands that he doesn't know what's going on with the 4-4-3 and the Real Madrid 3-0. So at least there's some awareness, whereas it feels like maybe Egbahli thinks he knows what he's doing, or at least he knows what he's doing to benefit Clear Lake Capital and their investors and himself.
Right.
But he's not thinking about what needs to be done
for the club
to make us actually competitive at the top level, because there is no justification for Gu coming in when you have Washington, Dacho Fofana, to make us more competitive. That doesn't make us more competitive, right? Yeah. So I'm not to say he's clueless. He's just he knows what he's doing for himself, or he knows what he's doing for the people that he's representing. Not necessarily good for us though, until proven otherwise. And the thing is with Chelsea and Chelsea, shout out to them. They bring this up a lot. We can only listen. That team that Roman unfortunately left us with was not ready for any ownership change. Rudiger going on a free, Christensen going on a free, Werner had to be sold, Lukaku having to be left because of what happened the previous season in that interview. But we can only shit on that team so much and say, oh, but we've massively improved. These guys are yet to achieve what that team has achieved. I'm not talking about Champions League. I'm talking about just finishing in the top 3. I'm talking about just finishing in the top 3 in the Premier League. Until you can achieve that, you can only say so much about your Mason Mounts, about your even, unfortunately, your Kai Havertz's, your Jorginho's, your Kovacic's, because these guys had us in a respectable position. I'm taking away the Champions League win, because we all know that was like a massive spike. We weren't consistently with that team in semi-finals and finals, so I'm not going to use that. But what I am going to say is that until we achieve that top 4, we can only do so much with but we've massively improved in the recruitment. Like, actually get back to where we was first before you start slagging off those set of players. And the thing is, for me, is that it's going to be very interesting to see with this next year if there is any strategy change because of what we've heard over the weekend, or if it's going to be exactly the same. But I wanted to raise a very important question. It's maybe going to get you thinking. I've taken this from someone on Twitter who's put this out there, and I thought it was brilliant. Are Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart performing poorly, we could say, in their roles because of the interference of Egbahli, or is Egbahli interfering because they're poor in their roles?
Mate, I think they're puppets for Egbahli. Simple as that.
Bro, Egbahli,
Yeah.
they carry out the instructions they're given.
That's
And
it.
they're given from Egbahli. And Egbahli still chooses to step in. And at the end of the day, you have that question is one bag of foolishness. Because think about it. If I fuck with that, brother. No, it's legitimately. If my manager tells, I'm an engineer. If my manager tells me, Javon, if Javon update the software on this computer and install an antivirus, and if while I'm trying to do that, my manager comes and still install a different antivirus that he told me to install, he's doing the fucking same thing. So if Egbahli tells Winstanley, sign youth, look for the best version of youth, and still comes in and does the same thing, it doesn't matter how it's performing. The end goal is still being achieved. So it's not necessarily, they're doing it poorly. They're carrying out the instructions that they were given. No, it's a different story if Winstanley, okay, you want me to sign youth? Let me go after targets like Jamal Musiala. No. We mean youth. We mean just born youth. We mean just had their 13th birthday youth. It's impossible to then turn around and say, they're performing poorly because of Egbahli. No, they're just carrying out the instructions given. And I doubt as a sporting director, having this level of money that you can spend, you're going to up yourself and go to sign a 15-year or 16-year-old kid from Brazil in terms of Washington. When at your previous club, we've seen you recruit youth, but better version of the youth that can be utilized in the first team. Am I making sense?
100%.
Yep.
You have to ask yourself the question that who in this establishment of Chelsea Football Club right now can actually stand up and give a different opinion and go against the grain of what the owners want? The answer is no. No one. No one in this football club is there now to actually go, do you know what, sir? Mr. Egbahli or Boehly, whoever is in charge, God knows. I actually think in a different way. I think we should do this way. Who's actually doing that at the football club? No one.
Anyone that has done that is gone.
That's what I'm trying to get to. So it's by design that they've created this environment, because if they have individuals that are going to make their life difficult, the owner's life difficult, they want that person gone. Mm-hmm. This is why in every facet, why did we go for Winstanley and Stewart in the first place? Why them? What level of experience at the highest club, at the topmost echelons of world football, what experience do they have to run a successful football club? None. Manager, why Enzo Maresca? Even though no disrespect, I actually like Enzo Maresca, but why Enzo Maresca? He's only won in Championship.
Yeah.
Why him? There's managers out there that have won multiple European trophies and have ample amount of experience there. Why Enzo Maresca? Why the certain types of players? Younger. Why not the 28, 29-year-olds? Or is it because they're going to have a voice? They're too mature? They'll understand the fluff? Or is that why Thiago Silva was potentially not kept in the team anymore? The one and only person in the entire team that was actually saying something publicly that this project is nonsense. So, and then look at all the other people that are left. Peter Cech left. Peter Cech was asked, can you stay? He said, yeah, I don't think so. You do you. I'll go find my way. So I think this is by design. To go back to that initial question that Matisse that found on Twitter, it's not the fact that Winstanley and Stewart are dumb, which they potentially could be, but I'm not saying that's the case here. I think it's the case that they're puppets. Mm-hmm. They don't have the character. They don't have the personality. For instance, let's just say we had Maldini as a sporting director. Do you think Egbahli would be saying the kind of talk he's saying to Winstanley, to Maldini? Maldini will be like, brother, do you know who I am? Do I look like Winstanley to you?
But it could be also a fear of losing their job.
Of course.
Absolutely. If they're puppets on that level, they're going to do whatever they need to do to execute in order to just go along. And yes, sir, no problem, sir.
They hit the jackpot, right, Younes? They hit the jackpot. These sporting directors, they've hit the jackpot.
Mate, big jackpot.
They're on much higher wages than where they were.
Yeah, yeah. And they got Chelsea on their CV now. So...
Yeah. And I'm not going to say that they didn't find quality, because we have some quality in this position, in the team, when you look at the team. Because I don't want it to be too negative. There are positives there. But honestly, the whole mood around the football club will lift when the performances, when the good performances on the pitch are consistent. When we start winning things. All of this, no one would give a toss if we won the league the next year after they took over. If we won trophies, if we were back in Champions League, if we were competing at the highest level, if we were at that, no one would care. No, none of these fans would care, because it would paper over so much of the cracks, so much of the player scamming, so much of the player trafficking, so much of whatever they wanted to do. Because we all know Roman wasn't a saint, right? But he gets away with whatever he did because he brought us trophies. He brought us that feel-good factor.
That's the thing. He was doing what was necessary, things that the team needed to get to that level and sustain at that level. And then everything that was going on behind the scenes, if there was any dodgy dealings or things going on, it was covered, of course, because the team had what it needed and the structure was there to keep the team at a competitive level, fighting for trophies. What we've done since these guys have come in is not even give the team that. Like, we're not at a level where we can compete for silverware, for the title, for even top 4 consistently. The team doesn't have the attributes. It's like Big Shaq. We haven't got the facilities for that big man. We haven't. It's not there. It's not there. So fans are obviously going to look at the finer detail if that's not being done, of course.
Do you know what? Just quickly as well, this will now show us what Maresca is made of. I think someone was saying. I think Javon was saying. Javon, you said. I think this will be the perfect now test. It's a tough test, but this will now show: is he going to, at times in the press conference, say things that might go against what the establishment is wanting him to do? Because we know what happened to all the other managers previous to him. They got chopped very quick. As soon as Pochettino started to talk a bit of different language, Pochettino saw the door. So this will be interesting.
Talkative, doesn't he?
This will be interesting where Maresca, can he keep his mouth tight-lipped and not say what he really wants to say about the establishment? Or does he continue to put up a really good face and go, no, we're not bothered, everything is fine, blah, 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 and just let it roll?
That's why him being outspoken in early doors, as much as he can get his credit for that, it's still on behalf of the board, the Sterling situation, etc.
Exactly.
If the results...
Chilwell as well.
When the pressure cranks up, because right now we're only a couple of games in, there's not a massive amount of pressure because there's a long way to go in the season. But if things are starting to be defined and season-defining moments happen, like an Arsenal 5-0 for Poch, season-defining moment in terms of embarrassment for the fan base. Your emotions, football is all about emotions. We could talk about spreadsheets and data and business as much as they want to talk about it. But when you're in that tunnel and when you're stepping out onto the pitch as a player and as a manager, the emotions will get the better of you at some point. And are you going to be able to say what you truly want to say? Are you going to be able to potentially say, I'm going to banish a player that you've signed? You directors have signed, but they're not good enough, and I'm going to banish them. We're going to banish them because we're here to win trophies, we're here to win, and we're not going to put up with this nonsense anymore. Or are you going to continue to keep peddling their signings until it costs you potentially your job? And for me, one thing I don't want to see is no 18-page dossier on Enzo Maresca at the end of the season. If this doesn't work out, I don't want to see no 18-page Harry Potter novel on this manager. I don't know what they thought when they briefed that one. But when they briefed that one, I don't know what they thought. Because again, why does that come out now? When we sacked Pochettino, Why didn't you release that report then? Why are we only hearing about an 18-page report on Pochettino when
Did they
Todd
think it was going to make them look like a genius?
Boehly,
Yeah, it was going to
when
make
Todd
them look
Boehly's
like
the one that apparently reportedly wanted to keep him, and now there's an 18-page report on why we shouldn't have kept him.
Hold on.
But you also did your extensive work for months to hire him. So you didn't even think through the briefing properly. You thought that it was going to be as easy as you had an 18-page report on the manager and you ignored it. Alexis, brother, I need to bring you onto this show. I'm going to say that now. I need to bring you onto this show because I saw your recent video. Big up to you, love you, but I need to bring you on this show. How do you drop an 18-report dossier on the manager and then present it to Todd Boehly like it's his problem? You were the experts that were appointed to hire the manager, and you took months to make the decision. And Todd Boehly wants to have the sporting directors run it without his say-so.
Yeah.
So now that we ask for a bit of stability and more than 12 months on a manager that you extensively researched for months, no, we should have 2 years because you knew what you was doing when you appointed him, right? No. Here's the 18-page dossier on why we need to sack him. If there's 18 pages of why you need to sack him, then there was definitely 18 pages of why you never needed to hire him.
No, yeah, well, exactly. Oh, they should have been 36.
Was this all just a surprise to you? How could you be that shocked?
Hold on. I think people are. I've seen Carefree Lewis. I've seen multiple people, especially on Twitter, saying, "Oh, Boehly's back Pochettino, so it's Team Egbahli." I don't think Boehly backed Pochettino. I think he actually he's back in the concept of stability because 100%. He realized 100%. When he 100%. Took over Chelsea,
100%.
Chelsea was unstable through the whole Tuchel situation, Potter, Lampard. He just wanted some level of stability. Despite what the performances were, and the performances was getting better, but it was back in the stability. One point you made on Enzo Maresca that I really don't want to get away from. We've seen him do these things in his vernacular and how he's dealt with the press conference, because I don't think people are actually deep in what he's doing in the press conference. Again, when we go back to the whole squad situation, here's where I don't think he was a mouthpiece. He put it right back onto the board. If you look at his vernacular and his verbiage, I'm working with 23 people.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how long their contract is. This is what I'm working with. And when it comes on to that star signing point you made, Matisse, remember he's the one that said, "This is what we've seen from Misha. Sometimes good, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he does something good with the ball. Sometimes he doesn't think." Right then and there, what that says to me is, hey, I'm trying, but the star person you give me is just not good enough right now, and I'm not going to continue with him. So I'm going to take him out the game when he's not executing what I told him to. What that says to me is, I don't care who your star signing is. If they're not performing, they're not going to be in the team. And him himself said this, right? I can't believe I'm backing into Maresca here, but him himself said this. A player has to work and show that they can perform in my team, and they have to train hard every day. Basically, a player has to work for their position and I'll work for their spot in the starting 11. So that then and there says to me that he's going to handle this situation and say, hey, that's the board. That's not our team.
He even said for the outgoings, if you remember, he said that they would have to pay my salary double if they want me to take charge of the outgoings as well. It's not up to me.
Exactly. So
yeah.
If he keeps consistent, I think we have the right manager to face what's going on at boardroom level.
Hopefully. Because I feel like, if a manager does brilliantly, it will be in spite of the ownership, not because of them.
Correct.
Because of the amount of instability that he's been given again, if he does manage to achieve something significant in this season, for me, he will get even more credit than he would have got.
Yep.
Even more. Because it will just show at such a young age, for such a fresh manager, at the highest level now for the first time, that he's been able to navigate through all of the nonsense and still come out with something. I was already in the camp of, if he doesn't perform, that's nothing to do with us. Like, no Chelsea fan was really saying Maresca. That is directors' responsibility. If he doesn't perform, the directors are the ones for me that need to bite the bullet. They're the ones that need to be questioning their job. Their job needs to be on the line. I'm over him. I'm already over him. Whether he succeeds, fantastic. I hope he does. But if he doesn't, I'm not going to look at him because he was fast-tracked. I'm going to look at the directors. So he can't really... I mean, obviously, he can do wrong if he makes boneheaded decisions. I mean, we're going to be annoyed in post-match reviews. But the grand scheme of it is pretty set for me. So if he manages to actually break through that and break through all the nonsense and even break through the fact that I still look at the transfer and I think there's a lot of fluffy stuff in there.
Of course.
There's a lot of fluffy stuff, but there's not any substance. There's not enough substance. There's some substance with Neto, I think, and even Renato at left back. I think there's some substance, but then there's a lot of fluffy stuff. Sancho and Felix are fluffy players. We hope that fluff, works and it turns into candy floss or whatever, but it's loose. It's very if buts, maybes. It's very, low form, some potential, but they are getting to that age now where it becomes waffle quite quickly if we talk about potential for 24-year-olds. They should have already been there and done it. So this is their last chance. They know that. We know that as fans. Sancho and Felix, this is their last chance at the top level. And we have to hope that for both of them, it works out with us. Because if it doesn't work out with us, they're pretty much done at the top level for a serious amount of time. No top club is coming in for either of these two players if they don't perform right now. Right here, right now. So hopefully they do. But last thing I wanted to discuss, actually, it's been so long since we spoke. We never even got to dive into this John Obi Mikel back and forth that he keeps doing. And the reason why I bring it up...
Bro, he's an agent. He's an agent for sure.
The reason why I bring it up, right, is because it's very apparent now to me, and I'm sure it's apparent to everyone watching, that he's not going anywhere. He is now a constant and consistent fighter in his belief for Chelsea Football Club. And I just wanted to ask, is John Obi Mikel a help or is he a hindrance? Because we saw a little bit of a back and forth with Jackson. The whole Osimhen thing, he's talking like he's his agent. He's going to have his opinions on the club all season. He's a fan just like us. But because he has that legendary or cult hero status and access, we've never really seen anyone talk like this about our club. Probably because we've not been in this position. You look at Roy Keane at Manchester United, the way he'll have to speak about his club on Sky. You look at Jamie Carragher's potentially when they had actually, to be fair, since Jamie Carragher's become a pundit, Liverpool have been good. But we've never, as Chelsea fans, had to experience a pundit with, some sort of fame and status talk on our club and represent them when we're in a bad period. And I want to know how, as a fan base, we plan on navigating through that, because it's easy when we're winning. When, Mourinho goes on. But now these guys, even Mourinho's, he's not impressed. He's not been impressed. The few times he's spoken, he's not had anything good to say. We've never really had many media reps. But this guy is here and he has his own idea of what Chelsea should be. And I'm just wondering, is that good for us or is that bad for us? Because it could be good because the standards could be kept here. And that's what everybody's trying to do, in some capacity, in any way, shape or form they choose to do it. Or is he going to get in and amongst it with the players so much that it continues to bring out the immaturity in them, like a Jackson, because he is that guy where he has won the Champions League and they will respond to him. They won't respond to us, and thank God they don't, because I ain't got time for that. But it's good to know that it's good, but it's bad. But he will get his responses and his bites, and there are immature players in the squad. So I don't know, Younes, how you feel about it.
I'm confused with him now, man, because at first it legit looked like he was being very analytical, very precise in what was going on within, what needs to change, what's not so good. He was so heavily involved in this Osimhen deal, we all know that, right? And I feel like he was being critical for the most part, correctly, right? Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, this Osimhen deal doesn't happen, and Winstanley is fantastic. The job they're doing is immense. And I'm just like, yo, what's happened? Like, your tone has not just gone 180. You've thrown everything that you've done before and you've adopted a new face here. Like, what's going on? So I'm confused. I genuinely don't know what's happened to him. Because all of a sudden, everything's okay. I'm like, what? No, it's not. In fact, it's worse than it was a few weeks ago. So he confuses me. Like now, I'm genuinely baffled. I don't know. Has he? This is the thing. Has he
infiltrated?
Has he been infiltrated? Does he not like?
The account's looking good, Younes. The account's looking good.
Maybe. I wouldn't put it past because you can't trust anyone now. I wouldn't put it past if that was the case. Maybe the criticism that he received after he went on beIN Sports, because that was quite heavy online. Maybe he just doesn't want any of that anymore. Maybe he's just trying to pull back. There's no way that I can believe that he genuinely thinks the job that Winstanley's doing is fantastic. I can't. Someone that has been there and done it when Chelsea were at its peak and knows what it takes, I can't comprehend that. It doesn't make any sense. It's impossible. So something's happened there, and I don't know what it is. It could be like what Miz just said, or he just doesn't want any more smoke. I don't know. But something's happened there, and I'm confused with him now. I'm genuinely baffled.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, like Javon said, if we win, John Obi and Mikel won't be criticizing us, and everybody will be living in dreamland, and we'll be winning, and we'll hopefully be picking up trophies, and everything we've discussed in this podcast will become a secondary issue. It's a primary problem now because we're not performing, and I know it's earlier in the season, but we're talking about overall in general since the ownership have come in, not necessarily the start of the season. It's not, we still have hope there. But all of these problems become secondary issues, even maybe tertiary issues. You know what I mean? But right now they're primary because we haven't been performing. So John Obi Mikel is only a debate. It's only a topic if we keep performing in a mediocre manner. Hopefully we're not. But I think even Chelsea fans are confused. So I want you guys in the comments, let me know how you feel about John Obi Mikel's, I guess, involvement.
Bear in mind.
His outspoken opinion on where we're at, because there's two different ways to come at it from a club legendary status. You can come at it from a pure, fandom, honest opinions, and sometimes our own opinions can be regurgitated by someone more famous or someone more prominent, and people will have an issue with it because it's them that said it.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't have an issue with what was said, it's who said it.
I agree.
Do you want John Obi Mikel to play the, tracksuit on the pitch, hug with Jackson, nice photos for Copium on Chelsea's YouTube channel? Or do you want him to play the part of trying to uphold some standards and understanding that whilst he does that, he might have an opinion that might be different to you? I didn't agree with the whole Osimhen chase, but I know it comes from a place of wanting us to be successful. It's a question. It's a question for everyone to think on because, what role do you want this man to play?
And bear in mind, it's also depending on what you want, in the sense that, do you want him to stay true to his values, in the sense that, okay, I am John Obi Mikel, whatever I said will hold some form of weight. Do you want him to come out and say, okay, there's two sides to this. They've done some good in some of the signings they made, and they've done horribly. Or do you want him to just be ultra positive all the time, or ultra negative all the time? It's depending on what you want. For me personally, I just want him to call a spade a spade. I don't care who it's coming from, because if it's there, if it's factual, I don't want to be lied to.
True.
Just call a spade a spade.
I think what has happened here is John Obi Mikel has come to a point in his content making career, albeit short, where he's realized I could go two ways here. I could either be completely independent and not really get too emotionally attached with the current players or anything and say my mind. Right? Not get involved with the club, not go to the training sessions, not get this VIP access at Chelsea, and be me. But I think the path that he chose is, I want to go to the VIP trainings. I want to be treated nicely when I go to Chelsea, get some inside information, and work with the club. This is why I was baffled, just like Younes. How did you go talking about Chelsea the way you did and upholding the standards to Winstanley's doing an amazing job? Stay patient. Things are going to happen. Are you the same person?
Exactly.
And when did this happen? Off the back of him going to, was it Copium or was it Stamford Bridge recently? He went somewhere. He went to a training recently.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So what happened? I need to know the full details of that situation. Did you do a
Got
vlog?
scolded.
There should have been a
Got
vlog
scolded.
there. We
got
need to see. We need to see evidence of what conversations took place during that meeting. Did you come out of that conversation thinking, "Oh, do you know what? My podcast is actually going to blow big time now because I might be given Chelsea Football Club might be giving me some inside hooks every now and then to go and maybe talk to the players and this, that, the other." So I don't know, man. He's gone a different route. He's gone a different route, that's for sure.
You know what should happen? He should come on this platform and answer for his crimes. Answer these charges. John Obi, come through.
It's
Nico
a
Jackson will be watching with some popcorn going, I can't miss this.
Because I always say, right, you gotta judge the player on their position. And shout out to these people because I love these people. When I go and see them off every now and then, you know, it's always love. But I don't expect people that work for Chelsea as presenters, the position that they're playing, the role that they're playing. If they're a left back, I don't expect them to dribble past 4 players and score. That's not your job. Your job is to keep the ball, to win the tackles, to protect the defense, to protect Chelsea. It's your job. I'm not expecting you to come and do that. Now, if you're on YouTube, you don't work with the club, you're just speaking from a fan perspective, your fan perspective. Okay, you can take your shots. You are more than entitled to take your shots because you're up front. You're playing up front, and you're playing up front with a community of people that are also playing up front as well.
Yep.
You know, maybe you're Jackson. Maybe you're not ready to take that level of pressure, but sometimes you have to. But you've got your other strikers in your comments, in your community. I'm talking about you guys watching. You're all shooters. As far as I'm concerned, you're all shooters. You're all strikers. Because you will say whatever you feel, whenever you feel it, and there's no repercussions because you're a fan. And that's great. But the man them that are playing in defense, no problem. I understand we need defenders. Don't get it twisted. We can't all be strikers. We do need defenders. We need a goalkeeper. But just pick what position you're playing in because you can't play striker and then put the gloves on afterwards. It don't work. No goalkeepers ever turn striker and no strikers ever turn goalkeeper. And if that shit happens, we can see goals and aplenty. And we miss chances and aplenty. So, Mikel, pick your position. If you want to play holding mid, I feel like he's playing holding mid. He's playing holding mid.
Do you know what? Sometimes I reckon it's that WWE style face and heel. They pick and choose when they want to be face and heel.
He's turned heel.
He's turned heel. And maybe he'll wait for the time to turn face again. Do you know what I mean? Right now it's the heel era. It's John Evie Mikel the heel. Do you know what I mean?
He wants a shot at that WWE title.
It's bad boy era. Do you know what I mean?
That analogy by Matisse was class, by the way, man. You went full Mikel Arteta there and the light bulb. Like, full on.
That's what it is, man. That's what it is. That's the best way I can describe it. That's the best way I see it. And it doesn't mean that the strikers won't do propaganda. If we're doing well, we actually truly believe that, this is going the right way. If Egbahli and whoever owns our club at whatever stage it will be later on in the season, we'll see what happens. If we agree with the way and the method, bruv, we will be the first ones to fly that flag. But there has to be a reason for it. It can't just be pure prediction or Hopium or Copium or fairy tales. And I'm judging you based upon what is going on, not based upon what I want you to do or what I think you're doing. Especially when I don't know you. If you had 10 years of success, 10 years of ambition, 10 years of love, I would, and then you chose a different way to move, I could bank that credit and say, right, he's done this for us. He's delivered here for us. Let's trust him to do the next stage. I can't do that right now.
If we don't question and challenge these people from what they've done since they came in, the club would have probably fallen further. Remember the backlash, I'm telling you, would still be managed by Potter if there wasn't backlash. You understand? So if we don't make our voices heard and give our opinions, and the people at the ground don't do the same, it would just get worse, and the club would be lost in ruins or in the trajectory to be lost in ruins.
Because of what you said earlier, to wrap up, which is they've already got everyone at a hierarchy level singing from the same song sheet. Not necessarily in a good way, but do as I say. You know what I'm saying? Type mentality. And anyone who has a different idea, shut up. Now, if the whole fan base does that as well, oh Lord Jesus,
It's cooked.
We better be going in the right direction, because now we're all just a bunch of zombies.
Exactly.
You know? So, but anyway, Younes, brother, let the people know where to find you, bro. It's been a pleasure. What an episode. Madness.
That's been a good one. Good to be back, man. And yeah, looking forward to more. Catch my thoughts and everything that's going on. Younes Talks Football. As I'm guessing you can see right here. I don't know if he'll make the final edit, if these names will still be there. But yeah, I'll keep posting in terms of what's going on. Some double upload days, some not. But the preview for the Bournemouth game as well will be out the day before. And then we see how we play against Bournemouth and take it from there. So you can catch me there.
Yeah, I'm learning along the way. I've just realized you can make things large on here. Fantastic.
Yes, you
Javon.
can, sir.
Let the people know where to find you, bro. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. You know, catch me at the Fan House podcast. Go and check out my last interview with Matisse. I have some more one-on-one with Javon coming. Miz gonna be on there. Younes is gonna be on there, and I will be reaching out to other content creators just for them to come and tell their journey, and you know, hopefully, I'll find a Spurs fan to get on there to ask them why they support Spurs. But yeah, good content coming. I will be doing a Bournemouth review, maybe a preview, but come over, check it out. Let's talk some football.
Love that. And Miz, brother, let the people know where to find you. A pleasure as always.
Yeah, man. It's been fantastic. It's been far too long. Good to be back and talking amongst all you guys, and can't wait to see some of the comments. Yeah, the other side of the coin. Come and subscribe. And much like the boys, just keeping up with daily news and providing my opinions on it. And yeah, let me know how you feel. You know, we're always here giving our opinion. How do you feel? Let us know. And if there's anything catchy, you will definitely be noticed. That's for sure.
100%. Well, guys, that's been the episode. Looking forward to, obviously, when Bubba's back as well, to make it 5. It will be hopefully the layout that I've got planned for it will make sense. And yeah, good to be getting back into fixtures after this. Do you know what I mean? We've got football ahead of us now. Bournemouth at 8 p.m. in the UK. Very strange kickoff time, but they are a thing now. So I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, content around the games continues as per usual. And yeah, until next time, big up your damn selves. In a bit, people.
Peace.
Peace.
Bless up.